Test, test, 1, 2, test, 1, 2. Do, re, mi. Okay, yeah, it's working. Sorry, just everything's a mess right now. Temperatures dropped real quick around here. We went from the low being in the 60s to the low being in the 40s, and has chance of in the next week being in the 30s. So I had to move from my summer office space, which is a glassed-in porch, to my winter office space, which is a room with barely any windows, but a lot of insulation. Problem is, in the summer, that room becomes an oven. In the winter, it's a toasty little cave. So usually, I like to go be on the porch. I get to see out, lots of natural light, lots of fun stuff. I can listen to the rain, all sorts of stuff, yada yada yada, blah blah blah. Back here, there's not a lot for me, but at the very least, it's warm. Problem is, temps dropped quickly, so everything's been a bit of a rush, everything's set up, and I don't exactly have everything rigged up quite yet. This was a bit of a quick setup. Ah, darn it. Give me one moment, I gotta take care of something. I'll be right back. And then we'll get started. Yes, I know it's late, but hopefully we'll get at least one chapter done, as per usual. Alright, I'm back. Sorry about that. I don't know if you can pick it up, but I got a dog snoring in the background and a heater running. Because again, it's like 40... Yeah, it's 43 degrees outside. Now, some places that's warm, some places that's not. Down here, that's going to be our high in a month or two. So tonight we're doing a chapter of a seed in a seed in the void. As a short summary of the previous chapters, our MC is a world tree seedling on a world that has met its end, having been shattered by some yet unknown force, leading to it finding itself attached to a limb of its mother as it floated through the void. Awakening, it now tries to survive with several seedlings of its own. Though incapable of fully gestating to world tree seeds themselves, or to world trees themselves, the seedlings have taken on the role as something like hunter-gatherers, collecting material to not only grow themselves, but to help grow their mother, RMC, who is currently trying to get an understanding of how the heck gravity works. Being the first of mothers, seedlings, it could somewhat understand its siblings' malcontent. Why did they bother bringing her food? In material, instead of consuming it themselves. Well, they had no way to directly communicate at first, they had figured out using the complex interconnected root network like structures that had once linked the majority of the Grand Forest together to communicate by directly connecting them with another similar appendage on one of their siblings. They were somewhat able to communicate. Hard part was getting them to actually figure out what they needed to grow. And even then, the communication process wasn't easy either. As they'd never really had the opportunity to talk with one another. Though, being the first, they were quickly becoming the most capable in that matter. Mother had endowed them with additional knowledge that her later seedlings did not have. Mostly because neither of them were sure what would and wouldn't work. When she had first let them loose. Needless to say, they were more than a little intelligent. More intelligent than their siblings. And especially since they had actually opted in on investing in increasing that intelligence. Rather than just copying what worked, like their other siblings did. This meant the second sibling quickly outpaced them in size, but still had a hard time keeping up with them when they actually put their mind to collecting resources. Their siblings thought Mother was wrong to hang on to the husk of her own mother, a large piece of debris. Instead of consuming it. But as her first seedling, they knew. They knew that that single piece of their grandmother, they believe the term was, contained more information genetic information memory than the sum total of Mother and all 15 of her seedlings combined. And then some. It was no wonder that Mother was fearful to consume it. Cautious as she consumed it, making sure to copy every speck of information before breaking down the material for nutrients. It was a slow, arduous, and expensive process, especially when they had so little to work with. But it was because she was willing to put the time and energy into that process that they knew Mother was far more capable than the lot of them put together. Not only that, but she was also the only one with the capability of germinating new seedlings. Trapped in the vacuum as they were, them and their seed siblings would likely never find. The needed genetic material to germinate seeds themselves. Even if they couldn't convince their siblings that what Mother was doing was necessary, they could at least convince them that they needed her, or else they would, as a species, die. Species die. Mother had somewhat grown larger. Hold up one moment. Okay, I'm back. Um. Okay, uh, so, short explanation as to what just happened. Yes, there's a dog on the couch right now. I put the mic in her face and she stopped snoring. That is what I have to deal with constantly, people. So, my neighbor's dog, since they don't have a fence, and he doesn't do well with others, we have an agreement to let him stay in our fence. Because, well, he's Rusty's brother. And the two get along well enough. But there's a dog down the road who is currently in heat. And, well, you know how that goes. So yeah, he got out of the fence. I had to go put him back in the fence. Yada yada blah blah blah. Rusty got up, got happy. And now she's on the couch warming my feet. The sounds of the American pit bull sleeping peacefully. Anyways, back to the story. Yeah, that's what's going on. She was now nearly completely covering grandmother's husk. The large stomach sac she had made covering the lower half, while the larger leaf-like sails sprouted among the upper and sides. Two much larger consumption tentacles currently clasped a piece of debris larger than she was, holding her in place, while several smaller consumption tentacles moved around her, catching up the various bits of debris that were trying to be pulled in by whatever strange force the larger ones seemed to emit. He wondered if grandmother ever found a term for that. as he reached Mother to drop off another mound of load of smaller rocks. She actually extended one of the communication tendrils they and their siblings had been using. Using to communicate with. Hello, Mother. By the way, for any of you watching, if at any point you have any suggestions for names for the seedlings or the main character, I'm more than willing to listen. I've been hoping to drive up community interaction by offering to let people name these characters. But I haven't had much luck so far. You're growing rapidly. It won't be long before you even exceed the size of 2. My eldest sibling. even without grandmother's husk within you. Yes, I've noticed my more gluttonous daughter's sudden growth in size. I am hoping she does not prove herself foolish. Resources. I am I am aware that resources are scarce in our current state, but I would not have brought you or your siblings into this world if I had any other way around it. Not because I do not wish for your existence or fear them as a threat. But simply because this is barren times, and I much would have rathered my offspring take root in fertiler soil than the harshness of the void and the dark. But needs must. And I am sorry to say I have very little say in the matter of what those needs are. The first seedling mind felt dizzy with the sheer amount of information that had been transferred with that one conversation alone. Mother's mind far outstripped his own. Not only in size, but in complexity. The sheer amount of data it must have stored was rather intimidating. So many new concepts had been given so freely with the conversation just to make sure that they understood everything that Mother was saying to them. Sorry, give me a minute. I'm just rereading some of my old notes. I'll be done in a second. Sorry. They firmly hadn't known hadn't previously hadn't known what a gender was. So learning about the concept of a daughter was a bit of a surprise to them, but her. Just another thing that was locked away in their mother's mind. She so wished she could ask her mother to share more. But they both knew now that until Mother was large enough to move on her own, without having to worry about the fickle currents of the larger pieces of debris pull and the push of the solar winds they relied on. one to get around. They all still had to focus on gathering more material. As despite what many of her siblings thought, they were just one bad day from another catastrophe. Unfortunately, it wasn't long before first was proven right. Sorry, this has been a bit of a shorter stream. Not only is this a shorter chapter, but like I said, I don't really have things set up very well. And it looks like I'm going to have to go check on the dog again, so I think I'll wrap it up here. Have a good night. And this is Wrecker, signing off.